Hello there, you lovely people. Thank you very much for joining me again. I'm Elliot, and in this video, I'm going to be looking at some of the 4K Blu-rays that I am super excited for that are releasing later in 2020. Honestly, I'm anticipating these so much. I can't wait to have them in my hands, and I hope you agree with me on at least some of these. Before we get started, I want to say a big thank you to everyone who watched my video on my top 5 4K Blu-rays. If you happen to miss that, I will link it down below in the description so you can check that out. I got a lot of great comments on that video, and it was great seeing all of your top 5 4K Blu-ray lists. There were so many different films mentioned, and that really shows how many great films there are on this 4K format. And that's why I'm doing this video, just sharing my excitement for all of these releases that we're going to be getting in the next few months. Let's just get talking about these 4K films then. So the first one that I'm super excited for just got announced the other day. It's the Ghost in the Shell 4K UHD Blu-ray. And this is the Ghost in the Shell, the 1995 anime film, which is one of my all-time favourite animations, probably actually my top animation film of all time. I just love it. I love the animation style. I love the deep, complex issues about metaphysics and about duality between the body and the mind. And obviously it inspired The Matrix and so many other science fiction films. I have a feeling this is going to look amazing on 4K because there's already a release out in Japan, and I think this is going to replicate what the folks in Japan have already seen. And some details about it. So it's coming out 8th of September, and there is a Best Buy Steelbook edition as well, which looks really neat. Just some stats for the disc. It's HDR10. The Japanese soundtrack is LPCM 2.0, and then the English dub is DTS 5.1. I'm really excited for this, and I think it's going to look great. And I should mention, this is not the Ghost in the Shell 2.0 Redux where they put a load of CGI in the original. This is the 1995 classic. So it's going to look great, and I'm so excited to get this one. Do let me know in the comments below if you're excited for Ghost in the Shell, because I think this is going to be amazing. The next release I want to talk about, which just got announced in the last few days, is the Back to the Future trilogy, finally coming to 4K UHD. And this is coming out on October 20th. And it's taken apparently from a 4K restoration of all 3 films. So these should look amazing, the best they've ever looked. A few bits of info about the discs. They're all going to support Dolby Vision and HDR10+. The sound is going to be Dolby Atmos, and like I mentioned, they're going to be newly remastered. So fingers crossed that there's not any egregious DNR digital smoothing, and that it actually looks really good and how it's meant to look. It's just going to be really good to have this trilogy on 4K Blu-ray. I'm particularly excited for the first film because that is a stone cold 80s classic. The sequels, they're a lot of fun, but I can take them or leave them, but it'll be good to have the whole package, so to speak. So I'm super excited. Do let me know in the comments if this is a release that you're going to be picking up. If you're enjoying this video about my most anticipated 4K titles for the rest of 2020, please do consider subscribing to the channel, because it would be great to have you here in this movie 4K loving community. I'm going to be doing a lot more videos on 4K, and I do a lot of videos already on the Criterion Collection and Blu-ray collecting. Anyway, back to the video. Next up is another big one for a lot of people, including myself. It's the Hitchcock Collection. This is coming out on September the 8th. And this collection is including 4 of Hitchcock's biggest movies. So it's got Rear Window, Psycho, Vertigo, and The Birds. So this is the master of suspense at his best. Like, these films are incredible, genuinely. What I'm hoping with this release is that a lot of 4K fans who have never experienced Hitchcock are going to experience his films for the first time and just realise what they've been missing out on, because he is one of the all-time great directors. Not much to report on the discs yet. I know that they're HDR10 and that they're DTS surround sound. I don't know much beyond that. I don't know if these are taken from new restorations. These restorations might have already existed. and I'm not too sure on the special features as well. I just know that I'm definitely getting this because I think it's $60 for all 4 films. Like I said, Hitchcock is the master of suspense, but in particular Vertigo is one of my all-time favourite films, like top 10 material. So to have that on 4K, to have it sounding amazing, to have the HDR and all the great colours of the film, I'm really hoping that this is going to look amazing. So we'll see closer to the time, but I am anticipating this one greatly. Next up, coming out on the 15th of September, is a cult classic, a nostalgic film, one from my childhood, and just in time for Halloween, it's Hocus Pocus. And this film could look and sound better than it ever has. The only details I have on the disc are that it's HDR10, the audio isn't confirmed yet, and there is a Best Buy steelbook of this 4K disc as well, which I think I'm going to try and get imported to me because it does look very nice. What can I say about Hocus Pocus? It's a lot of fun, it's very campy, it's iconic, and it's just perfect for Halloween because sometimes you don't want to just watch horror films back to back. You want a bit of fun in there, and it's one that you can show the kids as well. So Hocus Pocus, very excited for. Released on the 22nd of September is Full Metal Jacket, the film from Stanley Kubrick. One of the great Vietnam War films, very satirical in its approach, very funny as well, and so expertly directed by Kubrick, who is obviously one of the greatest directors of all time. I don't actually have any specifications about Full Metal Jacket, so do let me know if you've heard what the technical specs are like. I'm really hoping it's going to be great because The Shining was a great 4K disc. A lot of you mentioned that in the comments on my last video. So this could be great. And there's a steelbook version from Best Buy as well. So that's for the steelbook collectors out there. In the last few months, we heard from Arrow Video that they're getting into the 4K UHD game. And their first 4K release is Pitch Black. This is the film starring Vin Diesel. And this is being released on the 17th of August. So this is coming out quite soon. So it'll be very interesting to see what this looks like and if this is a big success for Arrow Video entering the UHD market. The release itself looks like a great release. It's got tons of special features. It's Dolby Vision, new 4K restoration and DTS 5.1 audio. So I'm really hoping it's going to look great and sound great. And I think a lot of people are excited for this as well because Pitch Black is a bit more of a cult classic from the time. It's not like a massive blockbuster. Not a lot of people talk about it as much these days from what I gather. So if this does well for Arrow Video, this could lead to a lot more cult titles coming out on 4K. So that is something to be very excited for. Also being released by Arrow, but on their Arrow Academy line, which focuses more on classic cinema and world cinema, is the film Cinema Paradiso. This is the Italian film from Giuseppe Tornatore. And this is a classic of world cinema. It's a story about cinema itself and the love of watching films and sharing that love with other people. It's just a classic. And I'm really hoping this is going to look great. I think that the existing Blu-ray from Arrow already looks very, very good. So it'll be interesting to see what the step up is on this, because I assume they're doing this because there is a massive step up. Specs wise, it's Dolby Vision, it's 2.0 sound, and a ton of special features. So it should be a great release. But again, that's not out till the 23rd of November. This last 4K release that I want to talk about has actually just been released, but has already sold out. So I'm talking about the Midsommar 4K UHD release that was brought out by A24 themselves. So over on A24's website, they released this listing of Midsommar on a 4K disc in this cloth-bound book and this beautiful case. And anyway, it's sold out already, and I didn't manage to get a copy of that. So I'm hoping that a normal release is going to follow soon, or if not, there is a Japanese 4K UHD of Midsommar coming out very soon, and there's a steelbook version of that as well, and you can import that from Amazon.jp. I think that steelbook is retailing at about 10,000 yen, which is about £70, so probably $80, $90. I'm not very good on the conversions, so that is quite an expensive release if you want to get your hands on it. but I can only imagine that a standard 4K disc of Midsommar is coming sometime soon. So there are a number of reasons to be excited for that Midsommar release, because it's HDR10 DTS 5.1, but it's the director's cut of the film, which adds about 40 minutes of footage, I believe. I've not seen the director's cut yet. The film was actually released on 4K in Italy last year, and I don't have that disc, but everyone I've heard that's watched it says that it's one of the best 4K discs that they've ever seen, which is really, really high praise, and I can't wait to actually see what this is like. It's a horror film that was all shot in daylight and is really frightening. So it's a very peculiar, unique film, a great second film from Ari Aster, who is for sure a filmmaker to keep an eye on. So to have the film on a 4K disc would be amazing. So that about does it for my most anticipated 4K titles for the rest of 2020. I probably missed quite a few there, so do let me know if I've missed any and what you are excited for in the comments below. I know in particular, Lord of the Rings is coming at some point, this big trilogy box set, and I think with the Hobbit films as well. So when I hear more information about that, I'm sure I'll share that with you. But that is one release that is surely the holy grail for a lot of people. Anyway, thank you very much for watching this video, and if you want to stick around on the channel and watch more, just click whatever video is going to appear on the screen right now. I'll be back with more videos very soon, so until then, stay well and keep watching great films.